We only have a couple more hours left in Burbank, California, as we will, within these few hours, get our top 8 players who'll be moving forward to play at BlizzCon next weekend. Who will they be? Give us a little bit of time, we'll tell you. Here we have Todd, Nathanius, and Rotterdam. 5 players so far. We're about to get our 6th player, and it'll be the 2nd place from Group B. And I know, Nate, that grin means something. Matt, what does it mean? Talk to us, what you're thinking.
Means Neeb's about to advance. Neeblet is about to go on to play on the big stage, Sean.
You truly believe that here, do you? In the rematch against Patience?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt creeping in, none at all?
You know, there's something to be said for StarCraft this year if you're an American StarCraft fan, because especially if you're from the USA, where we're here, we have this awesome tournament. All right, we have players we cheer for. Okay, you got Hawk. He's like kind of like a dually. We haven't had a guy like Idra for a long time. Yep. But Neeb is the man who gets up here with that bald eagle behind him, with that beautiful American flag draped around him. And he is the man to cheer for. He has been awesome to follow all year long.
Roddy, you want to back him up?
No, I mean, what he says is right. It's just he said a whole lot without saying too much other than America's
That's the American
way. But it's going to be an awesome series. Talk a little bit more about the actual series. I still think that Neeblet is an actual god in this matchup, despite the fact that he lost against Zest. Zest exploited like very sharp timing attacks and created weird games in which he was able to steal 2 out of these 3 maps. Now, the big question for this series to me is Patience going to take a note out of Zest's play? Is he going to be like, all right, let's avoid the regular Blinkstalker Disruptor and let's go for either 3 or 4 gate pressures. Let's go for a pretty big / semi all-in on 2 bases. Or is he going to do the same thing as he did in his first series against Neeb? Because if he does that, then I really think that Neeb is just going to win, not simply, but rather convincingly.
Litud, Patience believer or Neeblet?
I think it will be a much more competitive series than the first one that we saw here, that's for sure. Maybe even closer than the first time these two met. Patience has some tricky timings, and like, as much as I agree with Roddy to some extent that, you know, Neeb, it feels like he's too solid to lose to some of these timings. There is also always the trickiness to it, where Patience is going to be perfecting all of his attacks more this time than the first time around when they met, make some adjustments, and it's very dangerous. Like, Neeb needs to be on point. If he's having a little bit of an off day, if he's playing his B game, his C game, there is nobody more dangerous than Patience with these attacks that he likes to go for.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think that Patience shouldn't do the same thing as Neeb. Like, don't sit back and don't play Blinkstalker Disruptor, because I think if he does that, then I really favor Neeb. But other than that, I agree with Johan. And if Patience, you know, plays a little similar to what Zest did, very sharp attack, doesn't really matter what kind, if it's very adapt heavy, 2 base, that kind of stuff is super dangerous and can catch anybody off guard, even Neeb.
Yeah, you think there's going to be quite a lot of support from pretty much every Korean at this tournament to help Patience beat Neeblet here. Neeblet has been the thorn in the side of all
the
of
alliance.
them. Yeah. The alliance coming together to stop him, because he has been, you know, a pain to them. He's been ruining records, he's taken money, he's taken a Kesper Cup, he's taking names at this tournament too.
I don't know, like in the past it was always the other way around. Like 6 of Europe's best would gather around one guy and they would all give him his energy, and then it's one lone Korean on the other side who still trios him, and now you're suggesting that there should be 5 Koreans around Patience feeding into him to defeat Neeb?
Combine our skills together.
Yeah, I don't know.
What are your thoughts?
It might be necessary to stop him, but it has been so cool.
That's such an American thing to say,
watch. It has been cool to watch Neeb bring these guys down, to watch Neeblet bring these guys down. And I do agree with Kev. If he wants to play Neeblet's game, if he wants to just try to be on the level, straight up, head to head, I think we've already seen that Neeblet and some of the people that kind of been playing that style, like Showtime, have become extremely difficult to beat in PvP.
But it's hardly possible, though, because the people that could help Patience, maybe they will have to play him later if he advances. So, like, you have to take that in consideration. Like, I think he's on his own, guys. And he's facing Neeblet.
Neeblet, I mean, let's talk a little bit outside the game, because I know you guys have talked about that now. What do you reckon the crowd's going to be like having Neeblet in there next weekend at BlizzCon?
Oh, baby.
Yeah?
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
It's going to be wild.
Nate is going full American.
Yeah.
I'm already
generic.
I'm all ready to start chanting USA.
I mean, I can imagine what I'd be doing if I saw a Great Britain flag down there, United Kingdom flag. Don't think we'd see one of those in a while, though, sadly.
Well, we saw that in Nation Wars.
We did, and we know what happened there. Roddy, any additional thoughts here to add in for Neeb?
Not at all. I still believe that Neeb's PvP is good enough here to advance, but this is obviously an incredibly big series. I mean, Taser said yesterday this was kind of like the exam of Elisa, right, in that CVZ series.
Yeah.
This is the ultimate exam for Neeb. He's won a lot of great PvP series, but this is that one series that will truly set him apart. Is he going to make it to the quarterfinals? I think he can, but it's going to be very hard and close, obviously.
Yeah, this is a very important series, not just for Neeb and his career, but I think a lot of people that have really been cheering him on and supporting him, people like, you know, I would even throw myself in here as someone that really wants to see American StarCraft continue to get better and have more people take it as seriously as it should be taken.
I just want a quick point and the little fact that popped up there for Neeblet, and it said that, you know, he previously struggled in pressured matches, which is true. How did that change? I mean, is it just experience, or do you still think he does struggle, perhaps?
I think
because this is as much pressure as you can get.
The experience definitely plays a big part in it. We've been talking about this all year long, and Neeb's performance has grown at a pretty steady rate throughout every offline tournament that he's played, because we mentioned how he'd beaten Pol and Hydra multiple times in the online qualifiers for the earlier events like Leipzig and Tour, but it wasn't until about midway through the year that we saw that rivalry he had against Hydra. Suddenly, Neeb starts beating Hydra every time, whereas he lost him in Katowice in previous tournaments. So I think that it's just something that's been getting better over time. He's brought up himself the PvT. Maybe that's one of his weaker spots, but we've already mentioned he didn't have to play that in this round. So I think it's not as much of an issue as it was before.
I think after you win a tournament in Korea against all the best Korean players, pressure shouldn't really be a thing anymore, unless maybe if there is $100,000 or $200,000 on the line. Then I think maybe that would create some pressure for some of us and Neeb as well.
I think it's still there, but to a lesser degree, like Nate said. I mean, what was once upon a time a rivalry eventually turned into bullying of Hydra, because Hydra just didn't win any games anymore. And, you know, where Neeb had a couple of series, let's remember that series against Marine Lord, where it was just a catastrophe, 0-3, everything that could have possibly gone wrong, went wrong. And then the finals against Utermal, yeah, he lost, but it was already much less of a catastrophe. So it has definitely gotten better, but yeah, obviously he's feeling it right now. Like, come on, man, like this is that one best of 3 that's going to determine whether or not he will play on the biggest and most beautiful stage of the year. So needless to say, he will be feeling it.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's get ready for this one then. Neeblet's going to take on Patience. It's the rematch of Group B.
The 2016 World Championship Series Global Finals is brought to you by Intel, T-Mobile, NVIDIA, and Republic of Gamers.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the WCS Global Championship. I'm Tasis, joined by the Tosis, a.k.a. Artie McFly.
Yeah.
We have a very exciting match coming up right now. It's going to be a PvP. We, as two Americans who've been casting in Korea for a long time, have really wanted to see American dominance. We already saw it just recently at the Caspa Cup with Neeb dominating, but he's got an even bigger challenge here. He's trying to climb through the WCS Global Championship. We're going to see how he does now. But before we go any further, let's introduce our players down here in the bottom left, formerly known as Neeb. He is now Neeblet. Not the easiest one to just scream out. First time shouting Neeblet here. His opponent from Korea, a very scary Protoss player in the upper right. He is Patience.
All right. You know, this is going to be a crazy match. Guys, get out there and help us spread the word. WCS Global Finals. It's a quick day today. We're 1/4 done, and we're going to have another 4th done, which will leave us with just 2/4 or 1/2 left over.
Or maybe 3/5. Nobody really knows.
Well, maybe the games are long. Maybe we get 2 O's and then 2 1s later on. It could be. Even a draw occasionally happens. But, guys, seriously, help us spread the word because Neeblet is fighting for a spot in that top 4. And even though his PvP is godlike, and we've seen him win the Kespa Cup, do well against just about everyone, Patience is a top-end PvP player. He's underrated, and in their last 4 PvPs, they're tied 2-2.
Right.
So this is a close match. It should be a good one.
Again, really exciting to see a player like Neeblet, rather. In case you guys are wondering, he just said he had his ID changed upon arriving here. So we are now going to be calling him Neeblet, but we may end up slipping Neeblion. This is his ID. You know, there was Snoop Dogg, then there's Snoop Lion. This is basically his Neeblion ID. Neeblet. So, yeah, very exciting to see this guy down here. He's played some great games. Even the games he's lost so far here at the WCS Global Championship were impressive. He looked
really
scary.
good.
He looked tough. This is a guy who had some issues with nerves. Obviously, he's very young, and you know, only experience can really help you conquer that. So it seems like he's either in the process or he has already conquered a lot of that, dominating in a Korean tournament for the first time in 16 years, only about, what was it, like 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, right?
3 or 4 weeks ago.
3 or 4 weeks ago.
I think it was almost exactly 4 weeks ago at this point.
His opponent, Patience, this guy is a very scary Protoss. He doesn't always have the best control, but he definitely has some of the best strategies. He definitely has some of the best macro.
He doesn't lose a beat. It's super rare that his build order is not executed to perfection, that he doesn't have as good an army as he was planning to have.
I want to put a little asterisk, too, when I say he doesn't have the greatest control. I mean, he's still one of the best players in the world. He's still got a very solid micro.
His micro's better than your micro guy at home that's watching.
Yeah, guy at home who you could not micro him, but
you compare it to, like, for instance, Neeb. Neeb has some of the best micro in PvP, you know?
Yeah, especially. Well, I'd say he has the best micro in PvP, actually.
He might right now, yeah. Like, you know, well, this is actually kind of important.
This here.
Patience flanking into these adepts, and he will pick one off, and the other one is pretty darn low. In the meantime, Patience is proxying a 3rd gate, so he's going for a 3-gateway Stalker bust here. And this is not something that Neeblet should be able to hold on. Like, I think Neeblet's going to have to run up that ramp tasteless.
Yeah, Neeb tends to try to just get ahead, and he's even said he's sometimes greedy in the early game. And I think after that interview at Kespa Cup, a lot of professional gamers are trying to hone in on that and see if they can punish that in any way possible. Great control there by Neeb, pulling away both the Sentry, and the Adept, and not losing a single unit. But that does not mean the rush is over. There's going to be more reinforcements here as Patience continues to warp in just outside the proximity. Oh, and he sees the warp in. He doesn't see the pylon right away, but he did see the warp in. So he knows this is a pretty intense rush.
Yeah, this is getting hard, though. Neeblet's good at holding things like this, but with 3 adepts going towards the main base, his mothership core has to run back, which means these stalkers can out-micro him up at the front. Now, we do have a double pylon overcharge in the main base to force back those 3 adepts. Kills 2 of them. That's a great moment for Neeblet, and that Immortal is going to be out. Tasteless, he may have hold.
Yeah, I think he might hold this for sure. He does come over here. I was a little bit curious when we saw that come in. I thought that certainly the pylon overcharge wouldn't be entirely finished yet. Now, he does get some kills, but I don't think those adepts got the value that Patience really wanted here. And now Neeblet is beginning to solidify a lead here in the early game.
Yeah, this is looking quite nice for Neeblet. Now, Patience did get a Nexus, so they are actually even on the probe count, but you look at the army and tech here of Neeblet, and it's pretty darn good, man. He's got the Immortal out. He's got a decent amount of sentries that have good energy. Like, I would give Neeblet, like, maybe just a slight lead here.
Yeah, you know, whenever you get that robotics bay out before your opponent, just the ability to not only get Immortals out, which are going to be incrementing quite quickly as you chrono them, but also to get the Observers out, you tend to have a lot more room And it's really up to the player with the later robotics facility to not make any mistakes. So let's keep our eyes peeled on Patience's Robotech, and does he lose Observers? Does he lose Immortals? Because that would mean that Neeblet's only going to get further and further ahead here.
Well, right now, these two Adepts are hiding, waiting for Neeblet to make some sort of move here. And then, of course, he can shade in and maybe take out a whole bunch of probes. But Neeblet is playing this very, very safe. He's going, wow, directly into the robotics support bay. So
well,
that's kind of interesting. I guess he's going to go straight up into drops with a Prism and probably Disruptor. I don't know why I can't think of the name Disruptor right now. I'm like, oh my god.
Well, whenever I think of Neeblet, I do always think of his Disruptor play in PvP.
Yeah.
And we're going to see how well Patience can actually handle this.
Yeah, now, you can notice that he's getting speed for the Warp Prism. That makes a lot of sense. When your opponent went for something heavy like gateway pressure, then they don't have the tech to stop drops. So this should be very effective. It's a move that Neeblet uses a lot in PvP when his opponents try something like this. He tries to gain back some value with this Immortal Harassment.
Oh! Drop in here, barely gets the Warp Prism away. Now gunning down some Stalkers. We have a Warp in here, but it's not going to be easy to pick this up and get out. Reducing the Stalker count will be huge, especially since these Immortals are mostly just losing shields.
Wow, this was greatly done by Neeblet. Like, Patience tried to snipe the Prism, it just didn't work.
He just comes in there. A lot of times we see people do this and they try to get probes, but considering that tech here is going to be a little bit later for Patience, you certainly wouldn't have Blink. It's not going to be that much easier to get the Warp Prism. He just guns down a number of Stalkers, and remember, mostly that was shields on those Immortals that he lost. So he basically gets that for free. I guess the Immortals are a little bit bruised, but considering he's going to have Warp Prism speed as well, he can juggle the Immortals. Oh my. And now he's going to do a Disruptor drop. This build is sick.
Yeah, with the Speed Prism, this is a great counter to exactly what Patience opened up with, because the Blink is going to be so late with this. He just doesn't have tech. So Neeblet is gaining a ton of value with this. He's taking his third base, knowing that he's keeping Patience on the back foot. Just Neeb showing how ridiculously strong he is in this matchup.
I think he's going to chuck these up over here, see if he can't get any more damage. And it goes ahead. Now we see Warp Prism speed is done. So it's going to be a game of cat and mouse here.
Just getting anything killed off that he can. It looks like he's not going to get any hits right now, but that's okay. Like, he's keeping Patience back. Eventually, he's going to hit something, and that's going to, just be value towards him. So this is going quite well for Neeblet, but you can't count out Patience yet. Like, Patience is still doing fine. He's getting into his own Disruptors, and while it's better to have more Disruptors, that's like one of the units that can really make huge swings in the game. If you have all your Disruptors clumped up and then Patience hits him, suddenly he's ahead.
Yeah, I would say this is a matchup, despite it being a mirror matchup that I think traditionally had always had some rigidity to it. I think with the Disruptor in the game, it adds a lot more seesaw mechanics in the game. Where
there's a lot more play.
Yeah, there's definitely ways to outmaneuver your opponent, even if you're pretty behind. And we've already seen Neeb do that before, like a Keswick Cup. So let's keep watching how he uses those Disruptors. But so far, I'm really liking Neeb's spot. Neeb in this mirror matchup, actually 20 supply ahead. Definitely not a bad spot for Neeb to be in.
No, certainly not. Now, Patience is going up to Observer speed. That's pretty common. You get that so that you can actually spot where your opponent's army is very quickly and get your Observer out of there so that you can actually hit the correct Disruptor shots to win. A lot of this does come down to vision. The other thing you might see is the Oracle, probably from Neeb's side, since we don't really see him going for that speed. But also the Dark Shrine coming up, some cannons going up. They're both kind of just getting ready for this part where there will be a lot of harassment, there will be a lot of dancing with Blink Stalker Disruptor.
As the game moves forward, it does appear that Neeblet is going to be expanding to the bottom center here, opening up these rocks. How are you doing with saying Neeblet after having said Neeb for quite a while here, Joseph?
I'm doing all right. I'm learning over time.
I like our little Neebster in this game.
Little Neebster?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. He's he can call himself whatever he wants. We'll all still love him, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. He is now rotating through the map, checking for any hidden pylons, trying to get some presence over here. And it does look like, can we actually get a shot of the top center? What is that up there?
That's a prism, I believe.
Oh, okay. BTs. I thought that might have been. Okay, never mind. So that's the prism. So he's going to come up over here, maybe do a drop. And, oh!
Wow.
Big hits there from Patience.
Yeah, very well done. But that Dark Templar drop is going towards the main base, so we'll see what this gets done on the Patience. He doesn't have any detection up there, nothing at all. In fact, those Dark Templars going to work, getting some solid damage.
Losing the Warp Prism, not a good moment here for Neeb, but the DTs, as Artosis said, still here. Now unpowering that pylon, and he's not finished yet. The Observer's coming up here with the Stalkers, but does that mean that Patience has enough to handle Neeblet's army right outside here?
Oh, Neeblet trying to get some hits with those Disruptors, doesn't quite get it. A couple counter shots with Disruptors. No one quite hitting each other. This is still a situation where they don't have perfect vision of each other. We don't have any Oracles out. The Observer's trying to spot each other. Some blind shots into the dark. Smart move to do if you have enough Disruptors for it, but no one finding a lot of value yet, except for that one hit from Patience earlier on.
So although Neeblet did lose that Warp Prism, he's ahead in supply and does have an additional base, which he's taking the resources from. Down here at the bottom, just now acquiring those 2 gases. So I gotta say, Neeblet is in a good shape. It's really up to Patience to try to get out of this position. Neeblet also has him kind of in timeout here in the upper right side of the map. It's really hard for Patience to actually get out of here. And, you know, when you have this many Disruptors, you can just take turns chucking them out here. What was that?
That was a flanking Disruptor from Neeblet that got quite a nice hit off, but oh my god! Okay, that one wasn't quite as good as it could have been. Still a good hit, though. Another flank from Neeblet does go wrong. Patience going to hold on to this area. Still very close here in supplies.
Yeah, this is still so far so good here for Neeblet. Just backing up. The 4th Nexus is being made just above or where a screen is here. So you can see that that's at least where Patience needs to get if he wants for this game to continue.
Yeah, Neeblet, by the way, is going up towards the Stargate tech to be able to get, you know, eventually you go into Tempest, but you definitely want to get the Oracle very quickly because just tagging your opponent's army is the easiest way to keep track of it. But Patience is already getting that Oracle out, so that's going to give him a little bit of an advantage here. But
oh my
god!
Nicely done there by Patience. Neeb perhaps overextending here. Now retreating, the Immortal gets gunned down.
Yeah,
Patience
but
put him in the corner. He's going to fight back.
There are so many Disruptors being blown up right now. Oh, another one does go down. Good hit there by Neeblet. And now Patience going to blink forward against this smaller group of Stalkers. There are some Zealots with charge. Those will buy some time for the Stalkers to get away.
It's possible Neeblet might try to go in for a flank here and catch those Stalkers in the middle. Meanwhile, Ninja Disruptor going to come in here. Oh no, he's just not paying attention.
Oh my god. Okay, well that's not going to work.
Okay.
That
I was
could have been amazing
so good, and then the Disruptor just dies.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, never mind. He wasn't paying attention.
There's too much going on right now. It's crazy. But Neeblet pushing forward here. I'm a little bit surprised that he blinks on top of everything, but he comes up with these Disruptors as well, chasing Patience all the way back. Some Disruptor shots come out and chase everything away, but Neeblet really not losing anything there.
Yeah. Continuing now to have dominance on the high ground. As you can see, we have an Oracle coming here to try to spot for that, ideally tag that army, but he does miscontrol it, losing that Oracle. We do have a 5th base as well, just south of here, which Neeblet is now taking down there in the center. Meanwhile, Patience is still on the defense.
Yeah, he is, and this is why Neeb is so good at this. His positioning in this matchup with this army composition is just flawless. He's kept the high ground, which gives him a little bit better vision, especially considering he can hold that watchtower. And he's the one that's poking in, kind of being on the offensive. You can kind of think of these comps like Ling Baneling against Ling Baneling, where the aggressor is oftentimes in a better position because, you know, you kind of have a bigger area to walk around in. You have a lot of angles that you can poke in from. And oh my
nice
god.
hit there.
Ooh. Just crazy.
We have the Nexus under attack here. However, with these Immortals over here, there's no way for this army to actually get back out. Once Neeb comes in to sandwich it, we have Zealots hitting from every single angle, and the Immortals are not able to optimize any damage here. There's nothing for them to pair with here for Patience's army. 126 supply to 192. Neeb maxing out here while eliminating the rest of the army in the middle of the map.
Yeah, just destroying absolutely everything. We do have... Oh, no! Those were some huge hits here from Patience. He's trying to run away now as Neeblet chases everything down. He loses a ton of supply, but still at a massive lead.
I think Neeblet might be going in for the kill here. He sees that the army has been diminished. Nice dodge. Coming up now, the Nexus is in peril. If he actually gets in here, Neeblet is going to take out this expansion, and I don't see any way that Patience can turn this game, game 1, around.
No, it does not look like a nice blink forward here by Neeblet, trying to finish this off. More disruptors coming out, getting killed. GG. Neeblet gonna take game number 1. Really well done.
He's good.
He just shows that in Blink
He's
Disruptor
good.
versus Blink Disruptor, he has the advantage.
Yeah.
It's really, really impressive. And I do want to point out that his counterplay to the 3-gate pressure opening was really fantastic. The Immortal drop did a lot of damage. The Disruptor drop didn't really, but it gave him kind of a tempo advantage where he was able to take that high ground and dictate every battle.
Patience is in some trouble here. Now, let's remember that Patience did go for some aggression early on. And I think maybe if Patience plays, no pun intended here, but a more patient game, he actually could do, I think, a lot better.
Sure.
You know, he's got very solid late game PvP, but when you take a risk like that and it doesn't pay off, then you're playing catch up. And Neeb is somebody who plays very well when he's behind. So when Neeb's ahead, he's even better.
Yeah, I guess that's a really good way to put it. It's just his Blink Stalker Disruptor is the best in the world, I would say, at playing against the same. Like, if he's Blink Disruptor versus Blink Disruptor, no one we've seen can really out-micro him in that, can out-position him in that. We see a lot of Disruptor flanks. We always see him on the high ground. He'll get his Oracles out with reasonable time. It's really impressive.
Our next map is going to be King Sejong Station, and it has loaded up. Neeblet with a 1-0 lead against Patience. In our best of 3, the loser is eliminated from the WCS Global Championship. In the upper left, in the red, he is Neeblet. In the bottom right, in the blue, he has to win this game and the next if he wants to move on. He is Patience.
All right. Patience has to win here or he is out. He doesn't get to go to the BlizzCon main stage, which of course is something that he really wants to be able to accomplish. He's had just an awesome year. He's been coming up for a long time now and is at that level where we can start to call him a competitor for championship titles. But, you know, at this crowd, at the actual global finals, the actual world championships of StarCraft, there are a few players that seem to be ahead of him, and Neeb seems to be one.
Neeb never fails to impress anymore. It's crazy because, you know, for a long time we were talking about this guy's very good, but it seems like he's very young. So maybe down the road he will not just be good on ladder, for instance, and not just be respected by his peers as far as, you know, game understanding and being a good practice partner, but actually somebody who can dominate. And it seems like over about the last 2 months or so, not only has he improved, but he seems to have perhaps even conquered entirely any issues with playing in a live event.
Yeah.
And a lot of the, you know, games that Neeblet is winning, it's not like a build order win. It's not a cheese. It's not like that. He just macros really well, gets ahead early on, and is so good with these multi-pronged attacks that it's kind of terrifying, actually.
Yeah, his army control is just so good. He really understands how to get those hits with disruptors, and it's very complicated because they either get a ton or nothing at all, you know. And if you, for instance, in PvP, if you both have disruptors and you both shoot at almost exactly the same time, whoever shot first has a gigantic, massive advantage.
Yeah.
But you can't just shoot willy-nilly. You know, the cooldown is quite long on those, so there's a lot of finesse to it, and Neeblet just seems to have mastered the subject.
We now have Patience sending the probe in over here to get some scouting done. Excuse me, that's Patience going into his own base, guys. I was just testing you, Artosis. But he does have the other probe coming out now, yes. And gonna go ahead and go scout up over here. The Adepts coming down, meanwhile. Looks like Neeblet's Adepts have been cornered.
Yeah.
He needs to try to control these Adepts in such a way that they can both escape. I do believe... Oh, actually, if he can hide in the bush here for a second, maybe he can actually get away. Nope, gets taken out anyways.
Yeah, one does get picked off. This is kind of the funniness of Adept openings. They were definitely superior for a little bit, but now you saw Patience run right to where the shades would end, and in fact, Neeblet was even going to the side slightly so that he could avoid, because he figured the Stalkers would be on top of the ramp. So a lot of little mind games going on, but if Neeblet can't get much information with these Adepts, he could have a little bit of a harder time. That's been one of his kind of hallmark moments in PvP, is always getting a decent Adept scout off.
I feel like in the start of a Legacy of the Void, everybody was just having a really hard time trying to wrap their heads around the Adept and how exactly, you know, do we counter its movement patterns? And it does seem like now, as the year 2016 is close to ending, we've sort of mapped it out.
Yeah.
Pro gamers have.
Very much so. A couple of Adepts coming up. Looks like he wants to pick off this Sentry no matter what,
Nice.
which is definitely a very good pick off. And getting a full scout off as well. I like that type of move by Patience. He's actually doing a great job of denying a lot of Neeb's scouting, because Neeb has, like, a cool thing about StarCraft 2 is how many branches you need to know, and that can really make you a much better player. It's like, for instance, that was one of the things Nesty talked a lot about in the beginning of StarCraft 2, how it's like you need to know, the more knowledge you have about how you should alter your build based on what you're scouting, the better you're going to be. And Neeb is fantastic at that. So the fact that Patience hunted down the Adepts to stop them from scouting and then sacrificed Adepts to kill off the first Sentry, which is meant for a hallucination scout, it's just showing that Patience really is trying to focus on what Neeb is good at and deny it.
I want to emphasize one part that you brought up there, knowing a lot of branches. Basically, when you start out with that initial number of probes, you got to think of that like the stump of the tree. And then, you know, when do you make your pylons? When do you expand? When do you make this tech? These are the different various branches coming out. And Neeb has what appears to be just a massive tree. He's like the Deku tree. I don't know any tree bigger than that one.
No, that's the biggest tree.
Yeah, and he just knows every step down the road. He's got that all mapped out, and that's a sign of a very, very good player. Not boxing himself into a certain play style.
Yeah.
And he actually, especially with a lot of the builds he does, where he just tries to play safe and get an expansion up and then get a big lead later on, that requires by far the biggest understanding of the various, you know, things you can encounter, whether it's hard counters or soft counters.
Sure.
And yeah, he's definitely got an understanding of that.
Well, right now, both of them getting prisms out, but Patience has gone for quick prism speed. The one thing I'm afraid about for him here is he's playing against a Neeb that has gotten very quick blink. So the harassment won't be quite as strong. And look at this, a 4 Adept drop-off. There's no Mothership Core here. He's trying to pick off. Oh, good Force Field there. Does save the Sentry.
Oh, almost picks up that one Adept. Neeblet, I can't believe, you know, I cannot believe he gets away with this Warp Prism so many times.
Oh. Looks like he actually got like maybe a couple Stalkers and 4 probes with that Disruptor drop, so that's really good.
Bit of a trade here. That Warp Prism, he's going to have to be very careful. Obviously, its HP is never going to recover, so you know, when it comes to a big crucial battle where he might need to use that to juggle his Immortals, that could be a very easy target here for Patience to try to run up and gun that down.
Now Patience going into Blink himself, adding some more gateways as well, sacrificing that Blink for the quick harassment. In fact, it looks like he wants to poke up again. I'm a little bit nervous, though, because Neeblet having Blink, like, Disruptor shots are not going to hit you if you have Blink. Only if you've already utilized that Blink. So I'm not sure if Patience can break through here, but it looks like he thinks he can. He has a very strong army, 2 Disruptors, a Warp Prism. These are all things that can really help you out.
Okay, he's coming up now. Let's see how good Neeb's control is over here. Neeblet's control as he moves in. The Disruptors will be put in. And
good hit.
Nice bruising there on the Immortal. With the Warp Prism having speed here for Patience, he could definitely come in here, and he could try to go for the kill. It seems like he wants to be more cautious and just try to keep Neeblet from having a later third base. Neeblet actually going to try to push out now.
This is kind of cool what we're looking at as well. Like, Patience got the quicker third, and he's been able to kind of keep Neeblet pinned in his base a little bit longer than he's used to because of that speed Warp Prism. So, you know, looking at the game, I feel like we do have Patience in a slight lead, but you know, again, when it's Disruptor, Blink, Stalker, so much of it comes down to what your skill is with that unit set that I'm not really worried for Neeb at this point.
All right, the Warp Prisms are staying out here to get the Disruptor up. Oh man, if he gets that, okay, good save there.
Yeah,
he doesn't have to kill off all the, you know, ideally he could kill off the Immortals, but even if he just damages them, they're going to be much easier to shoot off later on when the big fight actually does happen. At this point in time, I wouldn't say that Patience's lead is insane, but I think he's doing a little bit better here. I think he has a lot more opportunities right now. Neeblet's going to be on his back foot for the next little while here.
Well, Neeblet is trying to get some counter-harassment done. He does have a Prism out on the right side of the map, as we see right here. And that definitely could cause a lot of damage as Patience is mostly far ahead. Oh my god, he actually blinks in, and that is a pretty good dodge going down. Does throw out one of his Disruptor balls. It misses, though. Another one coming out. A Powerful blink forward. It gets a couple sentries, though.
Yeah, he does blink through there, gets one of those immortals. The other immortal, obviously a little bit clunkier. He might be able to shave off this immortal and the sentry here in the back. But the disruptor, I feel like Neeblet not quite targeting down as well as he could have. He does have this one disruptor in the back that will force Patience to try to blink back out here. Meanwhile, a Warp Prism is gunned down.
Yeah, that was a little bit sloppy.
I don't know what was going on there. It was just...
it looks like he was microing about.
He was
like,
hoping
drop at the same time.
He was hoping that Neeblet was colorblind. He would think that was his Warp Prism, but the strategy didn't work.
No, certainly not. But you notice that Patience this game is really trying to mix it up a little bit more. I think he doesn't want it to get into just massive blink disruptor because Neeblet has really controlled that. So he's trying with these smaller armies to more consistently trade out units to try to get a small advantage.
Right.
And it's not like working completely yet. They're actually quite even, but I do like the type of approach that Patience is trying to take here to take down Neeb.
It's going to be interesting to see once they do take the 4th base, if that is, they both take the 4th bases that are closer to the middle, how they're actually going to be able to handle that, because that gets a little bit funny when you have disruptors there. It's like not a long distance to travel to each other, and it kind of makes the very direct center of the map kind of this weird no man's land, and you end up having to do a lot of odd counterattacks with the stalkers and disruptors moving around everywhere.
And we definitely saw with Neeb versus Zest yesterday a lot of craziness happen on this map where when you're trying to attack and you start to like go in and commit to the natural, suddenly you're flanked from like 3 different directions and your army can get blown up. So to actually gain a victory here can be kind of hard.
Stalkers now coming up. I believe they're going to try to blink into the main here. Are they? Right?
Yeah,
okay,
looks
they're
like
there.
it. And a couple overcharges immediately, but of course with that many Stalkers, it's not going to matter that much. The Prism actually backs out for the time being. These Stalkers getting some decent damage, and of course they can blink out and get away too.
Yeah, I believe the rocks are actually still there at the 2nd base, so he's actually taken in a few gateways, and he basically gets that for free. That was a very interesting, not exactly the most common strat we would see on this, but what he did, it worked. It actually paid off.
Oh, look at this move right now by Patience. He wants to see if he can get some catches here. Wow, that flank really scaring Patience by Neeblet. I love seeing moves like that. Like, that's a situation where Neeblet could almost pick up a victory if he luckily got a few good hits there.
Yeah, but Neeblet really taking his time here. Supplies right now still about even. I believe Patience should get a little bit of a bump just from those gateways he picked off, but perhaps I'm wrong. I see Neeblet continuing to be about 5 supply ahead here.
All right, let's take a look. I mean, this is kind of getting to that spot where Neeblet gets very, very strong. A lot of bases on the map, just huge armies walking around, and you're going to have to be an expert in this disruptor play. Already Neeblet going for the Oracle, which is going to be very important. Whereas Observer speed into Oracle is going to be how Patience tries to keep track of where the army is.
Both of them expanding farther away from each other. We do have Stargates finishing up over here for Patience. And it looks like this should be going into a very long and dramatic game. This is really going to be a game of stamina, Artosis.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Neeblet's starting to move out, trying to take control of the map. Both players have 4 bases. That center base is kind of an interesting one because that would be the next natural base that you would end up taking, but not really moving towards that yet. Oh, catches this Oracle, but it does get a tag off.
Let's see if Neeblet can come over here and maybe try to punish this. It's going to be very easy for him to stalk this as it has been tagged over here. Looks like we have another disruptor over here from Patience. In fact, Patience just going to try to run in right here, right now. Over at the 2nd, the disruptor does zone that back out. Again, still waiting here on the 5th base to be taken, but as the map is being more and more consumed by the 2 players, that does mean there's more locations to be attacked and counterattacked.
Right now, Patience is doing a good job being the aggressor in this matchup, leaving those Stalkers there while they're tagged, not really going to lure him to the rest of his army. Neeblet is split into 2 pieces, though, trying to see if he can get something done while Patience takes that 5th.
We got engagement here on the right. It does look like Neeblet is shaving off a decent amount of Patience's army. Neeblet, once again, we didn't get a bigger and bigger lead in supply. We do have a disruptor over here, not activated just yet, and he's going to try to gun that down before he can do any more damage. Nice surround there on the Immortal. The Immortal goes down as well. Now Patience coming here on the right. Neeblet, he has his other army over here on the left, but it's not close enough. So Neeblet right now is on the run.
Great blink forwards here from Patience, picking off a big chunk of Neeb's army. Really forcing him to run away, but Neeblet coming in from the other side with the rest of his forces. He's got to be careful not to lose all his disruptors that are in the back.
He's coming up now. Oh, Is it actually taken out? No, the Oracle is still there. Still the opportunity to tag later on. Blinking forward now, going and taking out these Disruptors. It's going to be only Stalkers remaining, not a sophisticated army here for Patience.
Ooh.
He's going to have to back up.
Neeblet actually hitting some of his own Stalkers there with the Disruptor shot. The Oracle comes out to tag nearly everything right now. And it looks like Neeblet wants to start this push. The Disruptor count for Patience is extremely low right now.
Also note, Patience with the 5th base, Neeblet without. But if Neeblet can actually take out this base, he does have slightly superior supply. He may be able to balance this game out economically.
Oh, a couple very good hits there with the Disruptors, picking off quite a few Stalkers. Another Disruptor hit comes out, but Patience gets out of the way. More Stalkers being warped in on the high ground.
Stalker's now going to try to come in here. Disruptor shots coming over. It's not going to be easy to... Oh!
Flanking Disruptor. Very good blink away there by Patience. Really starting to get the hang of this style of play. But a blink forward from Neeb. Picks off 2 of them. But the 3rd Disruptor shot hits. A fantastic one from Patience.
And I think Patience has basically dismantled the remainder of Neeb's army. Oh, there's a few good hits left over here, but just Disruptors, that's going to be much trickier to actually try to take out.
Yeah, he's going to actually kill off all of these Disruptors now, the Observer as well, and that is Patience taking his first big lead of the series.
107 supply to 135. I don't believe there's any way for Neeblet to hold this expansion, which Patience is closing in on right now, and we see it gets canceled just like that.
Okay, moving forward right now, trying to throw down some stasis wards as well. A really cool move in late game, Protoss versus Protoss. Trying to walk around the ward that he knows is there while he uses that base. GG!
GG! Patience evens it out. It's 1-1. It's all going to come down to this next one game.
Yeah.
These guys very evenly matched. Interesting to see Neeblet had the lead. Not a huge one, but he did have the lead for the majority of that game. But, you know, PvP in the late game, that is one of the hardest things to control. Stalker Disruptor from multiple angles, which occupy the space of what would be basically multiple screens. You have to have really good control, a really good understanding of what the value of what is, so you know, where you can try to connect, where you can try to fake out an attack, and frankly, just really good instincts in game.
That's very, very true. And, you know, it felt like Neeblet was maybe getting right into the spot he wanted to be in, but that one engagement in the middle where he ended up losing all the Disruptors after his Stalkers went down, that really just sealed the deal. Like, you get that much of a lead as Patience when everyone's spread around the map, he's going to be able to kill off multiple bases, which is exactly what we saw. So I want to see more of that out of Patience. If he wants to take down Neeblet, he needs to stay on the aggressive side, trying to trade things out, trying to get some harassment damage done. Yes, Neeblet's very good at defending, but otherwise, I mean, Neeblet in a more, like game 1, where he got to sit on the high ground and dictate everything, you're not going to beat him there.
We're now going to go into game number 3. The map is Frozen Temple. One player moves on. The other is eliminated from the WCS Global Finals. We have our game loaded out. This is Neeblet versus Patience in their final match. In the upper left, in the red, he is Neeblet. His opponent in the bottom right, in the blue, he is Patience.
Okay, this is a kind of funny map to finish this off on because Frozen Temple definitely can reward aggression. You know, if you take that expansion too quickly, we have a lot of builds designed to bust that. The travel distance isn't that long across the map, so you can definitely do some timing attacks on the 3rd base as well. And I have no idea how Patience wants to play this, but it can be hard to get into a later game on this map.
Neeblet, at least in the games he's seen the last year, and in some of the interviews he's done, says he just wants to try to get a solid advantage after the early game and play it out. A lot of the different Korean styles, especially in Legacy, but also in previous iterations of StarCraft, have leaned a little bit more towards a lot of aggressive builds, rush builds. It's quite interesting to see Neeblet in the Kesma Cup shut down a lot of these rushes and even shut down some of these rushes here. But now that Neeblet is doing better and better, he's basically having more success. That is a bit of a double-edged sword. You do have more of your games out there. for people to study. In this case, the Korean pro gamers. They do try to identify and, in some sense, download that style of play and see how to counter it. So that's the big challenge here for Neeblet. You know, for the Koreans at least, he kind of came out of nowhere and dominated.
Yeah.
But you can see the Koreans are making the adjustments necessary, and they are beginning to hold their own. And we're going to see if patience is going to be that wall that actually stops Neeblet.
And what a funny world it is that we live in, where we're like, yeah, the Koreans are finally starting to hold their own against Neeb. Like,
yeah,
this is, guys, if you're kind of new to StarCraft 2, or maybe this is even your first time watching, Koreans have dominated StarCraft in general literally since like 1999 or 2000.
Since back when there were dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's crazy how long the domination has been so, like, literally 100% domination. Like, they win almost every single thing, almost every single time. But Neeblet has been crushing in Protoss versus Protoss, at least, against these Koreans, and that's what he's had by far the most matches in. So it is a weird world we live in, but a fantastic one as well to see Neeblet as the favorite here against Patience, but Patience showing that he really is very even with Neeblet.
Now we got a probe down here in the bottom left, Artie. Artie.
Now, will this be for a proxy? Like, we already have an Oracle on the way. Neeblet has quite a few Stalkers as well. This could be a heavy frontal attack coming in.
Yeah. I thought perhaps he was going to try to hide something down there. We now see the probe coming over here. He is. Okay, there is going to be one hidden pylon here. Neeblet mixing it up a little bit. Neeblet, I guess, in this moment, he's saying, I played a certain way. I need to mix it up, as does any champion. Let's all go back and remember MVP here, who cheesed out Squirtle in that final game in the GSL. I think, was that 2012, right? I think so.
Or 13, yeah, something like that.
But we saw that proxy pylon there right now, and perhaps he will be aggressive here. It's very popular to do some kind of push on this map, but we also see Neeblet's now taking a Nexus here.
But he has more Stalkers than his opponent. Look at this, 2 more warping in. So that's going to be 8 Stalkers against 4 right now, and it could be as high as 6. He's trying to lure these Stalkers out of position, but this is a strong attack by Neeblet. This is going to be super hard for him to hold.
Ruh-roh. He's come in now. He's taking out the pylon. The probes are being evacuated, and he's actually back here with the Oracle, taking out workers right now.
And this is just brutal. Neeblet pushing through right now, killing off so many workers. There's really almost nothing left for Patience here.
Unfortunately, Neeblet not quite controlling as well as he could be. He does end up taking out a few more of these Stalkers, and he's going to be chased back up the ramp. Patience in a lot of trouble here, losing probes as well as attacking units.
Patience completely falling apart against this attack, moving everything to the front, allowing that Oracle that he knew was there, he saw was there, fly into his mineral line to kill all his probes. And now Patience will finally hold, but he lost so many workers. GG!
GG! Wow. Neeblet is moving on as Patience has been defeated, Artosis.
He certainly has been defeated, and that was almost like a disappointing last game for Patience. He played really well in the first 2 games, but that last one, Neeblet bringing out a strategy we never see from him, caught him a little bit off guard, and Patience absolutely reacted in all the wrong ways. Neeblet crushing through in that 3rd and final game, which means, of course, he goes to the BlizzCon top 8.
You hear that sound? Choo-choo. What's that? It's the Neeblet train. Can anybody stop it? Its final destination is the BlizzCon Championship. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, we'll have an interview. Smix will be asking Neeblet how he feels about defeating Patience and how far he thinks he can go in BlizzCon 2016.
Neeb's notorious PvP was tested once more, and yet another Korean bites the dust as he does reign supreme over Patience 2-1. So congratulations, you will be moving on to the top 8 here at the WCS Global Finals.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be able to play in front of an American crowd, especially one like the size of BlizzCon. That's really exciting for me. And honestly, going to this tournament, I'd been playing pretty subpar, so I wasn't expecting to actually move on to BlizzCon. So it's pretty exciting.
Can you speak to that a little bit more? When you say subpar, did you feel like your ladder games weren't going well, or is it something, your mental condition, or what was it?
I'm not sure exactly. I've just, like, it's hard to pinpoint the exact reason. I've just been performing worse recently, ever since Kespa Cup. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure Patience would disagree as you just knocked him out, but let's just talk to that series a little bit. King Sejong in particular, Patience showed really great disruptor micro. I'm wondering, did that catch you off guard a little bit?
Yeah, I think he played that game pretty well, and also it's very tough to like keep calm in tournament games when everything's on the line and you have to micro disruptors, where it's like 1 millisecond can mean the difference between all your disruptors blowing up and all their disruptors blowing up. So yeah, I think he played well, but it's kind of tough for me to like keep my composure. So that definitely played into it too.
And speaking of composure, yesterday after your loss against Zest, the camera actually panned over to you and showed your face, and you were actually smiling. So I'm just curious, what was going on in your head when that happened?
It wasn't anything about the game. It's just, I think I've been really hard on myself whenever I lose tournament games. So I'm trying to just accept losses for what they are and just accept that whenever I play tournaments, I'll lose some games. And I can't really be too hard on myself, or else I'll just be depressed for the next, like all the way until the next tournament. So it's just me being okay with losing, I guess.
Well, we've already seen your world-class PvP, but of course we have many world-class other Zerg players as well as Terran players. So how are you feeling about your other matchups?
I'm not confident in PvT or PvZ nearly as much as PvP, but I think PvZ is my worst matchup right now, which is weird because just a few weeks ago I think it was my best. But I feel really uninspired in that matchup. But PvT is okay, I think, but yeah, PvP by far is my best.
So does that mean that in terms of the players that you're kind of looking out for, Dark would be on top of that list?
Honestly, Dark isn't that like scary. I think Beyond and TY are more scary, even though I'm probably better at PvT.
All right, then. Well, definitely looking forward to your matches. And of course, with that, Neeb, our lone American hope, does move on to the quarterfinals here at the WCS Global Finals.
Thank you very much, Smix. Neeblet is our 6th player to move through to the next round, and we'll be playing live from BlizzCon next weekend. An American through to the big stage. Welcome to the couch. We have Todd, a Frenchman, Nate, an American, and Rotti, a Dutchman. Nathanius, Neeblet made it. You gave us a speech on how great America is in the pre-game for 2 minutes. I mean, I asked you what you thought about Neeb, but you told me how good America is.
Now he gets to join the American legacy of representing the greatest country on this beautiful earth, Apollo. He has taken over. And that,
careful of the coffee cups.
Careful of the coffee cups. But it is so cool, I think, for every American fan tuning in to see Neeb do this, bring American representation out, and everybody else so excited to watch it as well.
We had a tweet coming in from Invasion Harsum, Kevin. High-level PvP might be my favorite matchup to watch right now. Insanely intense, lots of combat potential, and extremely skill-based. I was expecting something a little bit more wild from that tweet.
Expected like America!
Yeah.
You made the wrong tweet, Kev. He made the wrong tweet.
I mean, it wasn't me, it was the other Kevin. But I couldn't disagree with this tweet, obviously. I think like Disruptor against Disruptor, it gets wild. I mean, even us, when we're not casting it, it's almost like we're casting it. It's like, oh my god, it's like every 3 seconds there is a big oh my god moment. And obviously it's super skill intense. Some people are like, oh, you just hope for one lucky Disruptor. Like, no, it's positioning, it's flanking, it's the war about vision, you know, not just observers, but oracles over and over. The blinks back and forth, realizing when you can snipe a unit and when you can't. Super fun, exciting games, and yeah, what a series, Sean. I can't believe it.
Say what you will about Disruptors, this is Disruptor, but it's super intense. It's like all over the place. And Neeb, after 2 fairly normal games, I would say, in the 3rd game, I love that he went for the all-out aggression because you could tell Patience didn't expect it at all, and I think most people out of Neeb won't expect it. They think he's a singular player that just wants to macro, take a lot of bases, but no. Those Stalkers and Oracles were real, and they just finished him off in that last game.
Yeah, watching this series is so intense. You cannot, no matter what race you play, it's hard not to appreciate how close some of these fights can get with these disruptor shots moving all over the place. Everybody watching this up on the couch back here, we're all losing it. I was losing it watching all this happen. And some insane trades happen, but Neeb is just so good. And one thing that we noticed is he's always constantly making these very adventurous blinks to pick off the disruptors at the front to make sure there's never an opportunity for someone, or, in Patience in this instance, to try and get those shots off on him. And back what you said, if there's one thing Neeb hasn't been known for this year, it's cheesing. Probably one of the last players you're going to see go out for any super early aggression, and he played very well into that conception of him in the final game.
And we talked about pressure. That was a high-pressure situation. That last game, if he loses, he's out of the tournament. He decides to put it all on the line, and guess what? He gets reward for it, because now he's going to BlizzCon.
We talk a lot about how amazing this was by Neeb, and obviously it was, but I want to give a huge shout out to Patience as well for that game too, because he kind of beat Neeb at Neeb's game, which is kind of where we not think Patience was going to get the victories. More of like a build order he did in game number 1, 3-gate pressure, but Neeb shut it down. And Patience like, all right, if I want to win this series, it's probably going to have to be with Disruptors and Blink Stalkers. And he played a phenomenal game on King Sejong. A lot of credits and kudos to Patience for that one.
And then here's the walkthrough of map 3, really nice and simple to talk about.
Well, nice and simple. The Oracle! The Oracle, it kills units and workers so incredibly fast, Sean. 9-10 probes. I mean, it's game over. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. Like, how?
As a Terran, I've never been happier to see an Oracle in a mineral line that
I think
fast.
Neeb just played to his image. Like, he was like, everybody expects a Nexus and stuff. I'm going to deny the scouting, just get a lot of Stalkers. And who really expects in this day and age, when overcharge is as good as it is, to get hit by 10 Stalkers plus an Oracle at a time? Nobody really, unless you can see it coming. But that wasn't the case there. So Patience just died right out. And really props to Neeb. Patience beat Neeb at his own game, but then Neeb beat Patience at his own game. Last game.
That's what made this series super fun and interesting.
And that means now that there's 3 non-Koreans to join 5 Koreans, no matter what happens for the rest of the results now at BlizzCon next weekend. An exciting prospect to watch that unfold. And of course, just a quick reminder for you at home, we will be doing the bracket draw a little bit later on as well to see who plays who, which will be quite interesting in itself. Any final thoughts here, Kev, on the series? Or maybe some happy thoughts?
America.
Yeah, I mean, bald eagles, and Alex is very tough. F-150 tough. Yeah, he gets it.
I've got no idea. I'm English. So
it's a Ford commercial. It doesn't matter.
Todd, anything else?
No, really good PvP, and looking forward to the next matches. Beyond against Deer, like I'm getting all wiggly thinking about it after the PvT that we saw yesterday between Showtime and Beyond, so that's it.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. That's Group B now concluded. It's time to move forward to Group C and the unlikely decider match that's coming up. It's going to be Beyond versus Deer to see which player moves through to play at BlizzCon.